State Department for Public Investment and Asset Management, and the State Department for Economic Planning, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution and the Sections 3(8) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as principal secretaries. Number 1, Mr. Cyril Wagunda Odede, State Department for Public Investment and Asset Management, and number 2, Dr. Boniface Makoha, State Department for Economic Planning. Minority Leader.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me an opportunity. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the motion by the Departmental Committee on Finance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank also the chairman for doing a thorough job with this committee, because the report that they have brought on those two nominees, Madam Speaker, are factual. Madam Speaker, Cyril Odede Wagunda, or Cyril Wagunda Odede, comes from my county, from Migori County, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank His Excellency the President for appointing Mr. Wagunda as a Principal Secretary, Madam Speaker. He is the first Jasuna to become a Principal Secretary. Can you imagine? Since independence. Jasuna is where I come from, Mr. Speaker. The first Jasuna to become a Principal Secretary, Madam Speaker. I can't be more proud than today, Madam Speaker, that in my life, as a sitting member of Parliament, Jasuna now is a Principal Secretary. Jasuna East or West together, they are called Suna, both of them. Madam Speaker, Mr. Odede is a distinguished career civil servant. He has served this country at the Kenya Revenue Authority for the last almost 30 years without any problem, without any matter, without any finger raised about him on issues of integrity, on issues of disobedience or anything at his place of work, Madam Speaker. These are the kind of Kenyans, Madam Speaker, when they are given a second opportunity to serve the nation, they will serve this country diligently, faithfully, and with honesty. Madam Speaker, this is a man I can vouch for because I have known him for many years. Is a man who has served this country in a previous capacity as a Deputy Commissioner in the Kenya Revenue Authority, Madam Speaker, and he is a man who has all the qualifications, as has been said by the chair of the committee. They have checked everywhere, they have realized, and they have come to confirm that he is fit for the position that he has been appointed to. Madam Speaker, the State Department that he has been taken, the State Department for Investment and Asset Management, is also equally very important. State Department that our country needed. Is one of the new State Department that has been created now. And as you are aware, this country has many assets that need to be revived, for the benefit of Kenya, Madam Speaker. Assets that some of them have become malfunctioning, others have become dead assets. We don't even have a proper register of the country's assets, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as Migori people, whom I represent in this House, today we are very happy that His Excellency the President has given an opportunity, one of us, to serve this country. And Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to say that Kenyans will get the services that they need through that man called Mr. Cyril Odede, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Cyril Odede Wagunda also is a social worker. I remember when he was at the Kenya Revenue Authority, he has done a lot of social work at Migori, Madam Speaker. He has been a chair of many schools, boards, and he has helped the community to the extent where we thought that if he is given another opportunity, he can do a better job, Madam Speaker. And I am happy that the appointing authority, in their own wisdom, also realized and pointed out that this kind of person, if given an opportunity, will serve the country at a higher level. Madam Speaker, this is the way we want to move our country, where people who have never thought that they will serve this country, these positions of principal secretaries, cabinet secretaries, and other presidential appointees, are given an opportunity. Because, Madam Speaker, there are people I know, like this Cyril, who had lost hope. They never thought the national government will ever, see them, where they will have been rotting in Migori, Madam Speaker, with this kind of knowledge that they have, where the committee now has confirmed that these people will reform these places. This is the kind of, I want to thank the majority leader, Madam Speaker, because he has played a key role in making sure that this country moves to this direction it is moving to. He has been consulting me as the minority leader and asking me how many experts are remaining. Madam Speaker, we are in thorough consultations with the majority leader. Thorough consultations that anytime he thinks there's an expert required, I normally get his phone calls, even 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. He asks me, do you think there's an expert in ODM who can help issues in the government, Madam Speaker? But the majority leader continue with that kind of mindset, because who knows? Who knows? In the near future, you might become our president. Who knows? Only God knows, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I want to thank him also because he has shown leadership in that line. And I am happy that we are going to that direction as a country where every Kenyan feels he has a chance to serve his nation or her nation, Madam Speaker. Every Kenyan feels that he can serve in any position in this country. Where we are not being told you are a shareholder, you're not a shareholder, you are what, you are not. That nonsense has ended in this country, Madam Speaker, with this kind of appointment. When this list of the new principal secretaries came out, Madam Speaker, it covered the whole republic. There was a appointee from the coast, Kilifi, from Migori, from Kisumu, from Samburu, from Kajiado, from Mount Kenya, everyone. We are passing a list that has all faces from all the regions of this country. That is the kind of nation we want going forward, Madam Speaker. Because look, Sona people are not small people. That's where I come from. And they have never been a permanent secretary since independence. You know, there are some communities here that when they speak, they say, oh, we have been forgotten. Me, I just keep quiet. They don't know that even ours have been forgotten. We have been in the trenches of opposition. That's why I think we have been segregated for all and discriminated for all this time of period. But now, finally, things have changed. Things have changed because people who never thought they can serve this country are now being put forward to serve this country. And that can only happen under leadership of the broad-based, not those other leaderships that were there before, because they have forgotten other Kenyans. Madam Speaker, I want to send the majority leader to His Excellency the President to convey our message that he's on the right direction in terms of bringing Kenyans together. This is the way to go, and we will not relent until every Kenyan feels that he's a Kenyan like any other Kenyan, not like before where a man who used to come to his office at 5 a.m. in the morning used to remind us that, oh, you're not shareholders. Which shares? When did Kenya become a company where people bought shares? When did Kenya become a limited liability company where you're judged by the number of shares you have? Huh? Madam Speaker, I want to say that this is the way a nation is built. This is how we can have a united and cohesive nation. When I find a Jasuna on the table, it's when I know Kenya is one. When you just only people who can speak in one language are the ones who are running in government. That cannot happen anymore. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, the committee, thank you very much. We will support on our side as the minority any Kenyan. We will not mind where he comes from, which religion he belongs to, which county, so long as he can deliver and provide services to Kenyans. I am promising you on the floor of this house, we will support him. And we will make sure he is given an opportunity. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And also rise to support this motion for the approval of the two cabinet principal secretaries, not cabinet secretaries, but maybe in the future they will be cabinet secretaries. Mr. Cyril Wagunda Odede and Dr. Boniface Makoha, both of which the chair of the Finance Committee has very well elaborated how well they qualify for these positions, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to agree with the leader of minority that indeed it is important to recognize that when a government is formed, it is formed on behalf of the people of Kenya to serve all the people of Kenya. And therefore, anybody within the boundaries of the country who is qualified and a Kenyan can serve in any position. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, those of us who are Fundis believe in the broad-based government, and not just the broad-based government because it brings us together, but because it also harnesses and creates synergy of expertise from across the political divide. that you do not need to discriminate against anybody on the basis of where they come from. You've had Mr. Cyril Waguda Odede is Jasuna, somebody from Suna. And if for the first time since independence, we have a Jasuna as a principal secretary, that tells you then the country is moving in the right direction, Honorable Speaker. I look forward also to the day very soon. I know we have had principal secretaries from Kikuyu constituency. But not from Gashie. And also some from Gashie in Kiambu. And I look forward to a time in the near future where we'll have a cabinet secretary from Gashie, yes. Honorable Speaker, in Kiamba constituency, yes. Of Kiambu County. But Honorable Speaker, allow me also to speak to the two state departments that have been created, or rather this new one on the State Department of Public Investments and Asset Management. Honorable Speaker, and to speak to Mr. Odede and tell him he is coming into a State Department where he is being appointed at the right time. And I say at the right time, Honorable Speaker, because this country is coming from a backdrop where we are implementing IMF-led reforms that were more tax-based. Honorable Speaker, following the events of last year, we have to consciously now move away from tax-based reforms in the country, Honorable Speaker, and balance this with investments, and more so investments where you can be able to raise money to carry out public investments without necessarily going back to tax Kenyans. And the Public-Private Partnership Act that we enacted in this House, Honorable Speaker, almost 3 years ago, has existed in our books, but we have been extremely slow in rolling out public-private partnerships in this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, where you come from in Gilgil, you know on a Friday and a long weekend like this one, people take hours to get to Nakuru, a distance of less than 200 kilometers. That should take you less than an hour.
Some spend there, actually.
Yeah, people have slept on the road between Kinale and Gilgil. Those going to the western parts of Kenya over Christmas, some had to turn away and come back to Nairobi because they couldn't make it. Those who could not afford to fly or use the train. And yet they had planned to travel up country. But it is because we have had challenges with doing these roads and expanding our infrastructure in a way that we will do it without necessarily hurting Kenyans. An opportunity lies, and Cyril must know that he has a golden opportunity to unlock the huge potential that we have to implement public investments using public-private partnerships. Correct. And I'm not just talking about the Nakuru, Rironi, Nakuru, Mau Summit, all the way to probably Malaba, dual carriage, and making it an expressway like the Nairobi Expressway. There are many opportunities. Honorable Speaker, the investments that we are seeing at Bomas of Kenya through PPPs, there are many opportunities to implement such projects and position our country in a way that we'll be able to attract even tourists who are coming for conferencing, not just getting to the game reserves, Honorable Speaker. Because, let me not use what I was going to use, but our neighboring countries, Honorable Speaker, and allow me to give the example of Rwanda, which is a much smaller economy than ours, not as well connected to the rest of the world as Nairobi, was going to overtake Nairobi in terms of conferencing and conventions, Honorable Speaker. But investments that we are seeing at the Bomas of Kenya will unlock now this potential, attract more people, more business coming into Nairobi for conferencing and conventions, and also investments into the country, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I want to tell Cyril he has his job well cut out for him. We expect that this new state department will have a paradigm shift from tax-based reforms now to investment-based reforms in terms of being able to raise resources from the private sector to be able to unlock our potential in terms of infrastructure investments. Even the SGR, Honorable Speaker, the JKA airport. I know many people do not believe it, but JKIA remains an embarrassment to this country to a large extent. A huge embarrassment.
It's a bus park.
I hear the minority leader saying it looks like a bus park, like Machakos County bus park. Not Machakos County, but the Machakos Country bus station in Nairobi. And I say it is an embarrassment, Honorable Speaker, because for those who have traveled out of this country, you have seen the level of investments in, even within our region, in international airports. Rwanda, Tanzania, countries that we are priding ourselves that we are ahead of them, have been overtaking us with public investments. I was shocked, Honorable Speaker, the last time I traveled to Istanbul. What used to be Atatürk Airport, I was told has been decommissioned, and they have built a brand new airport within a period of 2 years.
Under PPP.
Under PPP, by a Turkish company. And I want to tell you, Honorable Speaker, it is possible even here to build brand new international airports, not just JKIA. It is possible to have an international airport in the Mara, to have tourists come from their home countries and fly direct into the Mara, or to Samburu County. I see the Honorable Asuda smiling broadly when she hears the Mara and Samburu, because she knows the potential that is there in Samburu, in the Mara, can be unlocked by us being able to take tourists directly there. But we will not be able to do this if we depend on taxes and raising taxes from Kenyans to be able to implement these public investments. But Cyril and the officers at the National Treasury who will now come into this new State Department have that opportunity to unlock that potential for us. I want to encourage him. Do not get into the National Treasury and get sucked into the ordinary National Treasury bureaucracy that we have seen over the years. Because there are people who have served in this PPP directorate over the years, but have not been able to implement a single PPP project. We have been speaking about privatization of our sugar companies, Honorable Speaker. This is the opportunity to unlock the huge potential in Western Kenya and other parts of Nyanza and the coast that are doing sugarcane farming using public-private partnerships and privatization of these companies. This is a work that is very well cut out for Mr. Cyril Wagunda Odede. For Boniface Makoha, in the State Department of Economic Planning, this is where NGCDF that we are speaking about resides, in this State Department of Economic Planning. Honorable Speaker, I have seen a former Speaker of this House tweeting, saying that the NGCDF is illegal. And let me read, Honorable Speaker, because, you know, some of these things are very shameful and embarrassing. And, you know, I would hate to spend time here to castigate a former Speaker, because you're also there, Madam Speaker, as a Speaker today. But when you say NGCDF is a corrupt, illegal, and unconstitutional slush fund to unjustly enrich the MPs, their families and cronies, and should therefore be scrapped, yet you have served in this House as a Speaker, presiding over 349 members of that House, and also strongly defended that fund. Well, you have served in this House, Honorable Speaker. But today, because you are annoyed, because we have just tabled and given notice of motion to appoint a member of Parliament of Mbere North as the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, if you are annoyed with that, please spare the rest of the country your anger, spare the rest of the country your bile. If you sat here as a Speaker for 10 years and justify the existence of NGCDF, but simply because today you are not a Cabinet Secretary and your member of Parliament has been promoted as a Cabinet Secretary, now you start taking your bile to the rest of the country and the rest of the House. I mean, it's embarrassing, it's shameful, it's uncalled for, and I would advise the culprits to cool down, relax. There is life beyond public service. The day any one of us is not a member of Parliament here, or you are not in a position as a Cabinet Secretary or as a Speaker, Honorable Speaker, or even as a Chief, there is life beyond that. You can graze your goats, you can graze your cattle, you can rear your pigs like me. Yeah. Those who are doing poultry, like William Ruto, can also do poultry. And they will all be happy. Honorable Speaker, you do not have to be bitter with your son. You know, from one end of the mouth, you seem to be speaking for your son, who is, I think, 50 years old. From the other end of the mouth, you are so bitter with another son of yours from Berry North who has been appointed as a cabinet secretary that you are now deriding the entire house and a system of NGCDF that has worked for the last almost 25 years. Honorable Speaker, this affront against NGCDF, Dr. Boniface Makoha must ensure that NGCDF not only continues to exist, but is well resourced. Because NGCDF is not for members of parliament. I can very well do my representation, my oversight, and my legislative work as a member of parliament without NGCDF. But I know there are children in Kikuyu constituency where I come from who would not otherwise be in school today, why not for NGCDF? I know there are children from Kanyanjara Primary School when I was elected a member of parliament in 2013 who had mud walled and timber classrooms in their schools that had no floors. Children in Kikuyu today pride themselves that they're in better public schools than academies, private academies, because of investments done by NGCDF. And it is not because of their member of parliament. It is because NGCDF, the act gave very clear guidelines as to how procurement is done, how projects are implemented, using an independent NGCDF committee elected at the local level with representation, having project implementation committees at the local level. Honorable Speaker, how I wish, as we implement devolution, the last 10 years of devolution, Honorable Speaker, how I wish Kenyans would see the work of devolution as they see the work of NGCDF at their localities, Honorable Speaker. How I wish that the County Governments Act was as elaborate as the NGCDF Act is elaborate. And therefore, I want to encourage also Dr. Boniface Makoha to serve Kenyans with diligence, to look at the workings of NGCDF and even see how we can further improve this NGCDF and propose amendments for us to be able to legislate so that NGCDF continues to serve the people of Kenya as it has served them over the last past 20 years, Honorable Speaker. And with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support and wish Mr. Cyril Wagunda Odede and Dr. Boniface Makoha all the best in their service to the nation and go forth, serve the people of Kenya.
Very well. Dr. Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to take this opportunity to sincerely congratulate the two gentlemen who have been appointed to serve in the two departments, the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, let me also sincerely thank the Committee of Planning and National Finance and National Planning for having reviewed or vetted the nominees and approved for their appointment. Honorable Speaker, for the very first time, Honorable Speaker, and I want my minority leader to listen, let me also applaud the move to broaden the inclusion of all spheres of people in the government of today. Honorable Speaker, the election of 2022, very many of us were so apprehensive that we thought that Kenya belonged to only a few people, the rest of us were spectators. Yes, we might never have signed the shareholding agreement, but nevertheless we pay taxes, so we deserved to be considered for all that is there to be done. Honorable Speaker, it's also a big lesson to any incoming administration. At times, not all the political supporters, not all those that you hang around during campaigns have got the competence to allow you and enable you deliver on your mandate. I do believe that the President Ruto was really let down by his first cabinet and his first administration that led to the Gen Z riots because of poor decision making and poor advice. I just hope now, Honorable Speaker, the new team that comes in will be able to really see Kenya in a holistic manner and come up with the policies and measures to ensure that this economy takes off. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, in a typical working arrangement, the State Department for Planning is the engine for economic development. It's the engine for social progress. They're the people who plan. They're people who think, who burn the midnight oil. They're the think tank. Whatever they plan is what goes to be implemented by Treasury and all other departments. Honorable Speaker, we just hope and pray the current administration will allow this department to play its role. Honorable Speaker, we have nostalgic memory of some of the best brains in this country. Tom Mboya, Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, who headed this department, and during those times, Honorable Speaker, this is the time when the country recorded tremendous economic growth and economic development. It is high time the Treasury Mandarin, as the majority leader has said, they allow the new team to infuse new energy, to infuse new thinking in the way things are done in the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, all of us knows that the better or the bottom-up economic program is flailing, is not meeting the targets that we're supposed to do. It is high time the Department of Economic Planning and the entire government relooks at the value chain they have talked about passionately, without funding, without innovation, and without invention. We're not going to get anywhere. It's therefore I call upon these two gentlemen to work very well. Honorable Speaker, it's an agreed fact that the government alone will not be able to undertake some of the major infrastructure projects we want in this country to spur economic growth. It's therefore important that we embrace the public-private partnership that the law has been rigorously amended to align it to modern thinking. Honorable Speaker, I would even ask, probably they could even put in a performance contracting. Tell whoever is in that department, if you don't properly and successfully deliver PPP within 1 year, then you have no business sitting there. For example, if you are employed as a transaction advisor and you cannot advise for a transaction to proceed to succeed, then you have no business at that particular point. I just want to ask Cyril that that's where the problem lies. Yes, PPP is good, but I want to urge him to avoid the temptation to allow for private solicitation to guide decisions on whom to award a PPP contract. Honorable Speaker, the improvement of JKIA is a welcome idea, but the done deal was a deal that was taken from the word go to the end. We must follow the law in procuring the process. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me as I conclude to sincerely thank the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, because when chance was to broaden the government, broaden, deepen, and tighten the government, he reached out to all parts of ODM stronghold and said, give us names of experts. Honorable Speaker, I can tell you, Busia produces the best. It has never failed to produce the best. Busia produces the best. If you want to have the best minds in this country to help you run any government, any institution, it is from Busia. Honorable Speaker, for example, Honorable Speaker, if you come to Funyula constituency, and this has trended all over this country, and you throw a stone, most likely the stone will land on a head of either master's holders or a PhD holders. And that is Busia for you. And that's why I have 100% confidence that Dr. Makoha will deliver. If he's given the space, the latitude, and the wherewithal, and the resources to deliver. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, Kenya needs to take off. We have stagnated, we have stalled. We hope this new injection, the blood we are injecting, is not going to be poisoned so that they become ruthless, leaderless, and clueless to deliver. As I conclude, for the people of Busia, we have our share, but we still demand more. And I beseech, I fall before the minority leader, when anything else comes up, please don't forget the people of Busia, because are the biggest ardent supporters of Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. And if wherever he works with, and we can talk to us, give us what we want, we will deliver much more to this cause. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support and I wish them the best. Let them deliver to the people of Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Let us remain in Busia for a while. Honorable Manyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, Busia produces the best, and we will prove that. I am so proud of the nominees who have been tabled. Who could have known that anybody from a village called Sierra, in a location called Lupida, in a ward called Buhayo North, which Nambale sub-county, that's part Matayos, anybody from such village would be holding a master's in physics, bachelor's degree in science, and pursuing doctorate. And also, theology. This combination has really mesmerized me. I couldn't sit. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me a chance to air my pride as a daughter of the soil in Busia. We know that Dr. Makoha will do this country justice, because most of the time people say they have nominated politicians, they have elected politicians, they have appointed politicians. But looking at his CV, this is a professional with good experience, adverse, like internationally and nationally. If you would want any branch to carry, a twig to cut from a tree, this is a person that we pride ourselves to have on the list. And also looking at the place that Dr. Makoha comes from, it has a very strong community bond at the boundary of Teso South and the Bahayos. If you know this country's history, we have had the longest serving attorney general from that same tribe, a Bahayo, and also the former finance minister, Chris Okemo. This particular nominee comes from that tribe. And if you mention Busia, both Tesos and the Luyas in Busia live as one community. And having chosen having come up with a nominee like Dr. Boniface, it's actually uniting Kenyans more, because you find that at the boundary we have a lot of intermarriages, so he will not be thinking of his tribe or any other person's tribe, but Kenyan tribe, to make sure that even that small village where Google Map at the moment would start now getting there because of this nominee, it is development coming. So I support fully, and I encourage Kenyans to continue having people like this also put on the limelight. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, remember, we still have two more special motions on PSS, special motion number 13 and 14. So we still have 3 more PSS to approve. Honorable members, I will put the question that the mover be called to reply. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. The mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've really enjoyed the contribution of various members that have supported this particular appointment, Honorable Speaker, and I want to urge that these two very dedicated Kenyans, that when they're given a chance to live to the oath, to live to the expectation of these members, Honorable Speaker, they play a very critical 2 dockets, that of public investments and that of State Department of Economic Planning, Honorable Speaker. And with those few remarks, I beg to reply.
Thank you. For obvious reasons, we will defer putting of the question. Next order.
Order number 13, special motion. Consideration of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination.
Honorable Raso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Consideration of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination. I beg to move that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th April 2025, and pursuant to the provision of Article 155, Sub-Article 3, Sub-Article B of the Constitution, and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of Honorable Ahmed Abdisalan Ibrahim as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, pursuant to Article 155(3) of the Constitution and Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, His Excellency the President submitted the name of Honorable Ahmed Abdisalan Ibrahim as the nominee for appointment to the position of Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination in the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. On Wednesday, 26 March 2025, the Honorable Speaker conveyed to the House the message from His Excellency the President, as subsequently referred the nominee's name, curriculum vitae, and the report from Public Service Commission to the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security for approval hearing. Madam Speaker, in compliance with Article 118, Sub-Article B of the Constitution and Section 64 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed an advertisement in the print media on Thursday, 27 March 2025, informing the public of the nomination as well as the date, time, and place of the approval hearing. The public was invited to submit written memoranda under oath, that is, affidavit, regarding the nominee's suitability. Honorable Speaker, following this notification, a letter was sent to the nominee inviting him to attend the approval hearing, requesting him to submit a file questionnaire set out in the schedule of Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. Honorable Speaker, the nominee obtained due signed certificates from the ODPP, Ethics and Anti-Corruption, Kenya Revenue Authority, Higher Education Loans Board, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, and the Office of Registrar of Political Parties. During the approval hearing on 4th April 2025, in accordance with the provision of the Constitution, the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, and the National Assembly Standing Orders, the committee observed as follows. No memoranda were received from the public regarding the nominee, other than those supporting his nomination. The nominee complied with Article 78(1) and 2 of the Constitution, as is a Kenyan citizen and does not hold dual citizenship. The nominee possesses a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Science and a diploma in Library Sciences and Information Studies. The nominee meets the requirement of Chapter 6 of the Constitution concerning leadership and integrity. The nominee demonstrated a strong capacity for managing complex administrative duties, supported by extensive experience in coordination at various levels. His leadership training and experience as a member of Parliament on various committees position him well to effectively lead teams and address intricate challenges as Principal Secretary. The nominee demonstrated sound understanding of administrative and technical issues related to governance, possesses the necessary qualification, abilities, and experience for the position. Honorable Speaker, for information of the House, the nominee was an immediate former Member of Parliament representing Wajir North. He has worked extensively in cross-cutting areas, including being a regional manager of the Kenyan Red Cross. Interesting to note, is the first member of the Ajuran community to be a Principal Secretary, and also a first from Wajir North, an expansive pastoralist region. Madam Speaker, as a committee, having sat through that hearing and also convinced, we come about that this new department of coordination brings to light that there are good people who can do good jobs, who are available out there, and they have never been identified. And Abdisalam becomes one of them. With those many remarks, I ask the House to approve our nomination, to approve this nomination. And I want to ask the Honorable Weitan, a member of Administration and Security Committee, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Waiter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I can confirm here that the nominee, the Honorable Ahmed Absalan, demonstrated high level of professionalism, integrity, and skills to do the job he has been assigned as national government coordination. Ahmed demonstrated the skills required for the position. Ahmed, being a member of parliament, the immediate member of parliament for Wajir North, and served as a senior person in the Red Cross, he has really shown and demonstrated that he can coordinate the government departments across the ministries. One thing that I can confirm is that after the appointment of Ahmed, there was celebration across Wajir North, across the Ajuran community, and across the larger Northeastern province, the former larger Northeastern province and the counties of Northeastern. The reason being, Ahmed Absalan was the first Ajuran that was appointed as a principal secretary. And there was a lot of celebration all over. I really thank the President of the Republic of Kenya for equalizing Kenya. The President and the Right Honorable Prime Minister are really looking at clan balancing, and tribal balancing, regional balancing across this country. That is one thing that brings Kenya together and unifying this country. That is what is required right now in Kenya. The only communities remaining right now is communities like Murule and the Kona tribes in Mandera that were not considered for senior positions. The Murule community being an entrepreneurial community, and people who do business across the country have never tested a cabinet secretary position, a principal secretary position, chief executive officer position, a director of general anywhere, managing director, or any senior position, or an ambassadorial position. I only request the appointing authorities now to consider the Murule community in Mandera and the Kona tribes that also live. Kona tribes are, a combination of several small clans that came together, and they are called the Kona tribes, and they are in Mandera. The Murule community, representing 2 large constituencies in Mandera, have never tested these positions. I think after the Ajurans now have celebrated and got the first principal secretary, the next ones in line is the Murule community and the Kona tribes. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I beg to second.
Honorable members, I therefore propose a question that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on its report on the vetting of a nominee for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155(3)(b) of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of Honorable Ahmed Abdisalan Ibrahim as Principal Secretary, State Department for National Government Coordination. Before I put the question, I think it would only be fair to give his member of parliament, member for Wajir North.
Madam Speaker, this afternoon, there is no better afternoon to be in this parliament than today. And there is no better parliament to be than the 12th parliament, the 13th parliament. Why am I saying that? Madam Speaker, the words of the mover of this motion, Honorable Raso, still echo that this is the first person from the Juran community to be appointed as a principal secretary. The first from Wajir North. That is history in the making, Madam Speaker, and that's why I say I'm privileged to be in this parliament this afternoon. Madam Speaker, there's nothing much to say about his person, Honorable Ahmed Absalan. I am his member of parliament, and he has been my member of parliament in the 12th parliament. So we went into the field in the 2022 election. I took over, and I'm privileged to oversee his appointment as a principal secretary. His qualification speaks loud. He has all it takes in terms of aptitude, the attitude. He has the gravitas to be the principal secretary in the department he's been appointed for. That aside, Madam Speaker, we have had values and principles in the Constitution since the promulgation in 2010. Never have we realized those principles and values fully, and I believe we are moving slowly, yet closer to the progressive realization of those values. Of significance to me this afternoon is the fact that our values speak of national unity. National unity in the face of our diversity, the multitude of communities and tribes of Kenya. That we must be united in as much as we have that diversity and differences. Madam Speaker, that means power in as much as it is vertical in some way, that we have one executive, the president. The rest of the power should at least permeate across these communities. And together we shall hold as one nation, and power shall be distributed and shared across all tribes. Values of inclusion, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the protection of the vulnerable communities. This afternoon, I heard Honorable Junet speak of the first person from Suna. I also speak on behalf of the first adjutant, the first principal secretary appointed to serve in the government. We are moving closer to the realization of these good values that have been slow, but there is a slow progression, indeed, to make sure that there is life into them. Madam Speaker, these values indeed mean that they are anchored on regard for human rights, fairness, and the protection of the less privileged, being a Nigerian, being the only member of parliament. When we talk of Somalis, people think that this is one community. Really, there is so much diversity in the Somali community. I represent the Ajuran community. And today, being the only member for this community, I'm elated that one from that community, in realization of our values, has come to being a principal secretary. I congratulate the executive, most of the president, and indeed the prime minister, for having been part of that appointment in some way. And this house, having considered his skill and approved them in equal measure. I support, Madam Speaker.
Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to support this motion and say that Honorable Abdul Salan was with us here in the last parliament, a solid member of parliament, a guy who did his work diligently and also was good at working with his colleagues. The appointment of Honorable Abdul Salan into the executive is something which we celebrate as members of the ODM party. As you are aware, he was also formerly the organizing secretary of the ODM party. This appointment, Honorable Speaker, is a testimony that broad-based government is working. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, there are some members of ODM who do not understand the relevance and the significance of broad-based movement. And I want to take this chance to tell those members, especially some of them from my county, that this broad-based government is the best thing that has happened to Kenya, and President William Ruto is a man who means well for this country. Honorable Speaker, I take credit as being one of the first MPs to prod the president to consider embracing broad-based approach in running of the affairs of the country. Honorable Speaker, the president has done well, and we want to assure him that these appointments are not in vain. That members of the ODM party in this country are taking note of these appointments, and wherever we are, we know that we are in government. We are in government, and we are participating in creating policies for this government. And we are supporting this government inside, outside Parliament, wherever we are. I want to tell my governor, the Governor James Orengo, Honorable Speaker, yes. Last weekend we were at a funeral in Siaya when the president came to condole with us. And my governor made certain remarks that were really distasteful. I want to tell Governor Orengo that Lugos were not created to stay in opposition. I know that he has been in opposition since he was born, and that there's nothing else he understands other than opposition. He is a poor manager. The country that he's supposed to run is doing badly. We want to urge him to focus on running Siaya County. That is the job he has been given to do. The affairs of the country now, the president is doing very well, he's in charge, and some of us are also holding positions that are assisting the country to move forward. Let Governor Orengo focus on Siaya affairs. Let him stop poking his noses on the affairs of national government. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, Governor Orengo is also a governor who is interested in affairs of national government and is always begging President Ruto to help him finish his projects. I am aware that he's begging the president to help him.
Honorable Atandi, let's be careful because this member is not here. That governor is not here.
I want to say that, let me conclude, Honorable Speaker, by saying that we want to plead with our members, wherever they are, that this is the moment we have to transform the country, all of us, and the appointments which the President Ruto is doing and giving to our members of ODM, especially the former organized secretary of the ODM party, Honorable Abdi Salan, who has now been made a permanent secretary. These appointments are going to help the country solidify and make our country stable, make our country prosper, and when the country prospers, it will be good for all our citizens. Madam Speaker, I support.
Member for Moiben. The next one.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me the opportunity to add my voice on the appointment of the 3 nominees who have been presented by the various committees. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for seeing fit that he brings the country together and opening up the government to include a broad-based government. And in that case, that is where we are experiencing first, Madam Speaker. My colleagues who have spoken ahead have given praises on the nominees who have been appointed. We had Honorable Junaid talk about Jasuba, that was the first, Suna, sorry, that was among the first time a nominee or somebody of that caliber to serve in the government was appointed. We had another nominee from Busia, Honorable Manyo, talked about Dr. Makoa, right? And these are people of impeccable academic progress, and they've made names in their dockets where they were serving previously. And it is going to inject fresh blood into the different ministries they are going to serve. And Madam Speaker, we wish the nominees the best, and we know they have the capability, they have the competence to serve in the various dockets. These candidates were vetted by the different committees, their papers were scrutinized, the public was also involved, and they've emerged to be the best. So we want to thank the President and his government. And we want to urge our nominees that as they take up these positions, they go in and work for Kenyans. The positions they have been given, they have been given on behalf of Kenya, to change Kenya and to transform the different dockets. We have one from the three nominees for Treasury, one for planning and another one for asset management. Madam Speaker, I want to speak on the nominee who is going to serve in the Department of Planning.
Honorable Barto, that motion is already gone. We are now on the internal security.
All right. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the guidance. I was just tempted to talk about NTCDF because somebody mentioned it today in the morning, and I was sitting back and imagining how can a whole former speaker, former CS talk about a member of parliament embezzling funds in NTCDF, yet there is nowhere in that docket where a member of parliament signs. We don't play any role, we only do oversight. So that's why I got carried away and got tempted because it was a burning issue. Anyway, Madam Speaker, I want to support the nominee, and the member of parliament from that region has said that he was among the very first in that village to serve in a government position. And it is also good for this broad-based government because it is now going deeper and looking at marginalized regions and picking up Kenyans from those regions to serve in government. And if you look at the credentials, Madam Speaker, this is somebody who is well-schooled. This is somebody who has been proven and tested. And I can say, and I can attest to the fact that education indeed equalizes. It is through education that we are sitting here today in the 13th Parliament and giving praises to the nominees who decided to go to school, and somewhere on the way, the President picked them up to come and serve Kenya in the different capacities, and I want to wish them well and looking forward to having a very good working relationship in their different dockets, because I know as members of Parliament, with the executive, if we work together, we will take Kenya to the next level. I rest my case, and I want to congratulate them and wish them the very best in their new assignments.
Members, you have the final say. I will therefore put the question that the mover be called to reply. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when Honorable Sane there talked very passionately about the Ajuran and the people of the North, that is really the thing. Inclusivity is the solution to the problems of Kenya. And when we live in the exclusiveness, we are going to marginalize others. I must thank His Excellency the President, and also His Excellency the former Prime Minister. Because for the first time, I think people have gone out of their way to identify individuals who would never have been looked at or considered by many others. And I think this is the value of broad-based. Like what Honorable Atandi there said, today he is the man in charge of the budget in this house. And many years back, people will be wondering, what would somebody from this flank far area be doing in this particular office? I think we must begin to smell the coffee that Kenya is changing, and it is changing for the good. We must all rise and support the leadership of the time. With those remarks, I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members will defer putting of the question. Next order.
Order number 14, special motion. Consideration of nominees for appointment as principal secretaries, State Department for Children Welfare Service, and State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection, Honorable Nganga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, taking into consideration the finding of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection and its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as principal secretaries, State Department for Children Welfare Society and State Department for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 10th April 2025. And pursuant to the provision of Article 155, 3B of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the following appointment, approves the appointment of the following persons as principal secretaries. CPA Karen Ochieng Agego, State Department for Children Welfare Societies, and 2, Mr. Fikirini Jacob Katoi Kahindi, the State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 155 3B of the Constitution, Section 5 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, and Standing Order 45-1, His Excellency the President notified the National Assembly of the nomination of the 14 principal secretary to various state departments of the date 20th March 2025. The Honorable Speaker, through a communication made on Wednesday, 26 March 2025, conveyed to the House the message from His Excellency the President, and subsequently referred the names of the nominee, their curriculum vitae, and the report of the Public Service Commission on their recruitment to various departmental committee for approval hearing. We're referring the matter to the committee. The Speaker directed that the committees undertake the vetting exercise within the 21 days pursuant to Section 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. In compliance with Article 118B of the Constitution and Section 6.4 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval, Cap 7F, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed an advert on the print media on the 27 March 2025, informing the public of the nominee date, time, and place of the approval hearing. The memorandum were to be received on before 3rd April 2025 at 5 p.m. East African time. At the closure of the submission deadline, the committee had not received any memorandum for or against the nominees. The Clerk of the National Assembly also wrote to the Kenya Revenue Authorities, Ethics and Corruption Commission, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, Higher Education Loans Board, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, the Commission for University Education, and the relevant universities seeking reference and background check relating to the suitability of the nominees. The committee, having undertaken extensive and thorough vetting of the nominee, recommended that the National Assembly approves the nomination of CPA Karen Ochieng Agego for the appointment as the Principal Secretary, State Department for Children Welfare Services, and Mr. Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi for appointment as Principal Secretary for State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. With regards to CPA Karen Ochieng Agego, the nominee stated she holds diploma in organization leadership from Harvard University and a master's degree from Moi University and a Bachelor of Education, Mathematics and Accounting from the Nairobi University. The nominee further stated that she has worked in the public sector and within Kenyan Revenue Authority, KRA, and the committee confirmed that the nominee had been cleared by the KRA Authority, Ethics and Corruption Commission, Director of Criminal Investigation, Higher Education Loans Board, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, having obtained clearance certificate to the effect. The nominee stated that she has long-standing passion on matters concerning children and noted that children need protection, love, and care. If approved, she undertook to ensure that the right of Kenyan children as provided by the Constitution were protected and adhered to. She further undertook to utilize her network to entrench the welfare and rights of children, and states that she would collaborate with other employees and resources persons in the State Department to ensure that the matter of children are addressed effectively. The nominee states that she had prior engagement with the Children Welfare Society of Kenya and had assessed areas where she could bring support to the society, which was supporting 1,000 children countrywide. CPA Karen added that if approved, she would ensure that access to education as a right under the Children Act is implemented She noted that in marginalized community, many children engaged in child labor and early marriages. She proposed to undertake extensive and intensive awareness campaign in these communities to ensure children get access to education. In addition, she would create awareness on the channels available to expose such vices and retrogressive practices, including utility of the 611 hotline number used to report cases of FGM, and utilize the resource center in constituencies to support the victims and give them a chance to continue with their education. Honorable Speaker, with regards to Mr. Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi, the nominee stated that he was born in Kilifi County on... Thank you. Let me start that again. With regard to Mr. Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi, the nominee stated that he was born in Kilifi County on 27 June 1994 and holds a bachelor degree in arts in philosophy from Pwani University. The committee obtained verification of this documentation from Pwani University and additionally confirmed that the nominee had been cleared by KRA as well as the Anti-Corruption Commission, Directorate of Criminal Investigation, Higher Education Loans Board, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, having obtained clearance certificate to this effect. In addition, the nominee is currently pursuing Masters of Philosophy at Pwani University and was at the research proposal writing stage of the coursework. The nominee has previously served as Director of the Governance Delivery Unit, County Government of Kilifi, and a Coordinator, Gaze Sub-County Office of the Senate, Kilifi County, and under the Parliamentary Service Commission, among other areas of responsibility. If approved, the nominee indicated that he would seek to create a safe space for the young people to ventilate their views and ensure that participation of the youth in addressing their concern. On drugs and substance abuse, the nominee acknowledged that drugs abuse...
There is a point of order, Honorable Alice. Honorable Kaluma. Next one, sorry. Give Honorable Kaluma the right mic. Use the next one. Now it has disappeared.
Honorable Speaker, and I think as all members we have looked at the very detailed report of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection, which has spoken to what they did during the vetting of these nominees. Honorable Speaker, would I be in order to propose for your directions, Honorable Speaker, that looking at the time and the other businesses we have to transact, and considering that we have the report already, and to allow members to debate upon moving, that the mover takes us straight away to the recommendations of the committee in respect of these nominees, because these details they have ably highlighted are in the report.
Thank you, Honorable Kaluma. I think, Honorable Alice, you're doing very well. If you could just hasten on Fikirini.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me finish these very important points, Honorable Karuma. Thank you. On drugs and substance abuse, the nominee acknowledged that the drugs abuse among the youth was a menace that was contributed to unproductivity among the youth. He proposed that if approved, he would implement a two-way approach combining preventive and rehabilitative measures. On rehabilitation, he would collaborate with NACADA and non-governmental organizations to make rehabilitation program accessible, as well as keep youth engaged in productive activities through the Youth Empowerment Center, which he aims to establish in every constituency. Honorable Speaker, the Social Protection Committee forward these two nominees for approval by this House with the primary objective of ensuring that the rights and welfare of the children and youth in this country are accorded the sufficient attention and priority that they deserve, with posterity in mind. Without a doubt, A nation's future greatness is determined by its present investment and in regard for its children and young people. I thus conclude by urging this House to approve CPA Karen Achieng Agego for appointment as Principal Secretary for State Department for Children's Welfare Society, and Mr. Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi for appointment as Principal Secretary, State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. And I additionally wish to request Honorable Zamzam to second this motion. Thank you.
Just for the record, Honorable Alice, it is Children Welfare Services, not society.
Our services. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you. Honorable Zamzam.
Speaker.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi kwa haraka niweze kumuunga mkono chair wangu Mheshimiwa Alice Ng'ang'a, kwa kuwa siku ya Ijumaa tuliweza kuangalia hawa walioteuliwa wawili, Karen Achieng Ang'eng'o ambaye alikuwa anaingia katika idara ya watoto na ustawi wa watoto. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukamjadili pia Fikirini Jacobs ambaye pia alikuwa anahusika na masuala ya vijana na ustawi wa uchumi ubunifu katika sekta ya vijana, Mheshimiwa Spika, kama katibu mkuu. Mheshimiwa Spika, hawa wote wawili, Karen aliweza kuonyesha ueledi wa kuweza kuangalia masuala ya watoto. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunavyofahamu katika taifa hili masuala ya watoto mengi yalikuwa yameachwa kando, hayajazingatiwa vizuri. Kwa hivyo tuliweza kumpiga msasa kufuatana na maswali ambayo tulikuwa nayo. Mheshimiwa Spika akaweza kujibu kwa ueledi, na nina imani wale maafisa ambao watakuwa wanafanya kazi chini yake wataweza pia kumuongezea katika elimu ambayo yuko nayo. Mheshimiwa Spika, wamuongezee ili apate juhudi zaidi ya kuweza kusaidia watoto. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mtu ambaye amesoma, ni msomi, ni mwanamke jasiri. Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi nampongeza kwa kuweza kuteuliwa katika idara hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, nikienda kwa kijana Fikirini Jacobs, tunajua vijana katika taifa hili wamekuwa na matatizo mengi sana, mpaka wengi tukawaona wakitoka barabarani. Mheshimiwa Spika, tuliweza kumuuliza Fikirini Jacobs, akatuelezea kuwa atahakikisha naangalia masuala ya vijana, kuhakikisha kuwa nafasi za kazi, atafanya ubunifu wa nafasi za kazi, na kuna pia sekta ambayo inasaidia vijana lakini vijana hawana uelezi kuelewa kuwa ni wapi watapata huduma. Ataweza kuhakikisha kuwa huduma katika sekta yake ya vijana atakuwa anawaelekeza vijana wote waweze kupata huduma. Mheshimiwa Spika, Fikirini pia amekuwa ni kijana jasiri. Mimi kama mama yake kutoka Mombasa County, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mtoto ambaye nimemuona ametuinua kichwa juu. Hatukutegemea kuwa Fikirini atakuwa anajua masuala ya vijana kwa uweledi, lakini alivyokuwa anaelezea kwa ukakamavu alitushika nyoyo zetu, kwa sababu tulijua vijana katika taifa hili ndio wana mtihani mkubwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, na wengi walitoka, wengi wakalaumika, lakini vijana wamesoma, wengine wamesoma yani katika idara tofauti tofauti. Mheshimiwa Spika, wamebobea katika masala tofauti. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama blue economy ama uchumi samawati na mambo mengi sana, lakini hawajapata mwanya wa kuweza kupata ajira, hawajapata mtu wa kuweza kuwaelekeza. Mheshimiwa Spika, huyu kijana amefanya mabadiliko makubwa sana ndani ya Kilifi. Wale bodaboda ambao siku zote walikuwa wanachukuliwa kama watu wabaya, amewachukua wale vijana akawawekea sako, akawaletea wale investors, wakaja nao wakawapa mbinu ya kuweza kuwekeza. Sasa katika Kenya nzima ile sako ya Kilifi ndio sako ambayo imebobea katika bodaboda kwa sababu ya akili ya kijana mdogo ambaye anaitwa Fikirini Jacobs. Kwa hiyo yale maneno alikuwa anazungumza na chair wangu aweza kukubali. Sisi tulikuwa na raha mpaka tulikuwa tutaka tumwambia masali mengine wacha uende zako, lakini katika ile mwelekeo ambao tulikuwa nao ilikuwa lazima tumalize masala yote. Kwa hiyo mimi nampongeza sana Fikirini Jacobs na kuombea Mungu akuelekeze katika kazi hii, uinue vijana wa Kenya. Na siye peke yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimeona hata yule Makoha amesoma, amebobea. yule ambaye amepewa ile wizara ya finance, na amesema katika lile deni la Kenya atahakikisha kuwa anaweka zile sheria ambazo zitahakikisha deni linalipwa kwa wapesi. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka tu kuchukua fursa hii nikimalizia nimshukuru rais wa taifa hili Dr. William Samoei Ruto kwa kuweza kutoa mwanya wa broad based government ili waweze kuleta akili ambazo zimebobea kuweza kuisongeza hizi taifa mbele. Mheshimiwa Spika, nampongeza sana kwa kuweza kutuchukulia kijana wetu wa Kigiriama, tulikuwa tumeachwa nyuma, lakini mara hii Mama Zamzam nina uso wa tabasamu nikisema fikirini atainua Kenya nzima, fikirini atainua Wagiriama, fikirini atainua pwani nzima. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi nawatakia kila la kheri.
Mheshimiwa Zamzam, haujamalizia.
Mheshimiwa, nimekuwa na furaha sana nikashindwa kumalizia. Nikimalizia nasema naunga mkono uteuzi wake kutokana na kamati yangu ambayo niko kama memba ndani. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Wote wawili.
I therefore propose the question. Honorable members, you'll take the time to look at the standing orders to get the proper Swahili for seconding. It is not kuunga mkono. Ni kuafiki. Yes, kuafiki. Honorable members, I therefore propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Social Protection in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as Principal Secretaries, State Department for Children Welfare Services and State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 155, 3B of the Constitution and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as Principal Secretaries. 1, CPA Karen Achieng Agengo, State Department for Children Welfare Services, and number 2, Mr. Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi, State Department for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy. The first chance will go to Honorable Mayaka.
Shukran sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii ili niweze kuchangia mswada huu wa kimaalumu wa kuwaunga mkono wateule wa Permanent Secretary ambao ni Mheshimiwa CPA Karen na Mheshimiwa Fikirini. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimeangalia kwa kikamilifu ripoti ambayo tumepatiwa kutoka kwa kamati hili, na Mheshimiwa Spika, nafurahi sana kwa sababu hata wanapokuwa wakiojiwa niliweza kutazama kwenye runinga vijana hao wawili ambao waliweza kujieleza vizuri kabisa. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza kabisa Mheshimiwa CPA Karen amehitimu kimasomo na pia alijieleza vizuri sana ile passion ambayo yako nayo katika kueneza mambo ambayo inawahusu watoto na huduma yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukikuja kwa Mheshimiwa Fikirini ambaye huyu ni kijana ambaye namjua vizuri sana. Mheshimiwa Fikirini ni kijana tumekuwa pamoja katika chama cha ODM kama vijana. Mheshimiwa Fikirini kama wengine wetu tumekuzwa na baba Raila Amolo Odinga, na Mheshimiwa Fikirini amehitimu kimasomo, ni kijana mchapakazi, ni kijana ambaye ako na sauti ya vijana, ni kijana ambaye ameonyesha katika ile kazi ambayo amekuwa akifanya amesaidia vijana sana. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunataka kushukuru kamati hii kwa kuweza kutupatia ripoti ambayo inaonyesha kweli kabisa vijana hawa wawili wamehitimu. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka tu kuambia vijana wa nchi hii ya kwamba hii ni kielelezo wazi ya kwamba kijana yoyote anaweza pata kazi kubwa kama hii. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Fikirini ambaye ametoka huko Kilifi, hakuna mtu ambaye angejua ya kwamba aliweza kuhitimu hivi. Lakini alijieleza vizuri, alijieleza kinagaubaga. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka tu kuwahimiza wenzangu na Wakenya wote ya kwamba tumeona ya kwamba kweli kabisa hii broad based government ina support sana maneno ya kuleta watu ambao wamehitimu kwa kufanya kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kumshukuru sana baba Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kutupa wateule ambao wamehitimu kama Mheshimiwa Fikirini, Mheshimiwa CPA Karen, Mheshimiwa Makoha, Mheshimiwa Cyril na Mheshimiwa Ahmed. Hao wote wameonyesha kwamba wamehitimu na watachapa kazi. Na pia Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kuchukua fursa hii nimshukuru rais wa nchi hii kwa sababu sasa ameonelea ya kwamba ni vizuri tuwe na watu ambao wametoka katika eneo mbalimbali ya nchi hii ambao wanaweza tumikia serikali katika hali hii ya juu. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hayo mafupi nataka kueneza nyumba hii tuweze kupitisha hawa vijana, na pia nataka kuwahimiza wenzangu ya kwamba tukiwa huko nje lazima tuzidi tukiambia watu ya kwamba wacha tupatie serikali opportunity ya kufanya kazi katika nchi hii. Wacha tuwache hao watu ambao wamehitimu waweze kutumikia katika nchi hii ili tuweze kuonyesha ya kwamba kana kwamba ya kweli broad based government inaweza fanya kazi mzuri. Kwa hayo machache Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuunga mjadala huu wa kimaalumu. Shukran sana.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Mayaka. Nafikiri uongozi wa kamati ambayo inaleta utangamano wa Afrika Mashariki umekutia motisha kutumia Kiswahili kwenye bunge hili. Haya, nitampa nafasi hii mbunge wa Kilifi, Mheshimiwa Gertrude Mbayu. Give her the mic.
Asante Madam Speaker. Wacha nichukue fursa hii nikushukuru kunipa nafasi. Nishukuru kamati ambayo imeweza kuongoza kukaguliwa kwa hawa wawili chini ya uongozi wa mwenyekiti Mheshimiwa Alice Ng'ang'a. Nimshukuru zaidi kwa sababu ya kuweza kunakili kwa taratibu uzoefu na kuweza kujieleza vizuri hawa wateule wawili, na hasa nizungumzie mimi kutoka Kilifi kuhusu kijana Fikrini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi ambaye ni kijana wa kutoka kule Ganze. Mheshimiwa Spika, Ganze ni ile reserve ya Kilifi kabisa. Ukitajiwa Ganze ndani ya Kenya hii unafikiri ni pahali hakuna maji, hakuna chakula. Wakipata chakula, Mheshimiwa Spika, huwa tunaita nchamsolo kule. Ile relief food ndio inapelekwa kule. Lakini hapa ndo tumepata kijana Fikrini Jacobs. Amesoma kwa kujibidisha, kwa michango. Ni kijana ambaye ameweza kuongoza vijana, mwenye sauti kubwa ndani ya Kilifi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kijana huyu kwa uweledi wa kupenda masomo ameweza kutoka katika chuo chetu cha Pwani University, ambao ni mwelekeo mzuri. Vijana wengi hutaka waje Nairobi waweze kupata degree zao, lakini huyu alianza huko bara na mwisho amepata degree yake pale Pwani University, ambao nataka kupongeza wahadhiri wote wa Pwani University kuweza kushikilia huyu kijana mkakamavu.
Honorable member from Bayu, due to some, please take your seat for a minute. Your time is still there, I'll hold it. I'll hold your time. But we'll interrupt you because of our standing orders and give Honorable Wako for 1 minute to move a procedural motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move the procedural motion on extension of sitting time until conclusion of business appearing on the order paper, and that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business appearing as order number 15 on today's order paper, the sitting of the House shall stand extended until the conclusion of the said business. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I move.
Who is the seconder?
And I request Honorable Mutuse to second.
Mutuse.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Honorable Naomi Wako. As you notice in the order paper, there are very important issues that this Parliament needs to look at this evening, and therefore it is justified to extend time, and therefore I second the motion.
Honorable members, being a procedural motion, allow me to put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business appearing as order number 15 on today's order paper, the sitting of the House shall stand extended until the conclusion of the said business. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Mbeyu. Continue. Give her the mic.
Asante, Madam Speaker. Nilikuwa nikiendelea kuhusu kijana Fikirini Jacobs Katoi Kahindi kutoka Kilifi, kutoka kule Ganze. Niweze kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto kwa kuweza kupeana jina hili kwa uteuzi katika wizara hii ya masuala ya vijana na masuala ya uchumi wa ubunifu katika nchi yetu. Kijana huyu katika nguvu zake, katika umri wake wa miaka 30, ni kielelezo kizuri sana kwa vijana, kwa ule mfumo wamekuwa nao, kusukuma kutaka kazi. Nataka kumshukuru Rais, ameweza kutupa kijana kutoka Kilifi ambaye atapeana mwelekeo vijana wa Kilifi. Umeona maswali ya kuhusiana na mihadarati, si Kenya nzima na hata pale Kilifi. Ni kijana mwenye mvuto mzuri kwa vijana, ambaye najua akiita vijana mkutano wazungumzie maswala na hasa ya mihadarati Pwani na Kenya nzima, ni vijana wataweza kufuatilizia. Kijana huyu amekuwa mzuri sana katika ofisi ya gavana wetu wa Kilifi, Mheshimiwa Gideon Maitha Mng'aro. Amekaa katika kitengo pale cha huduma, kupeana huduma, utoaji wa huduma kwa kazi zake Mheshimiwa gavana. Na ni kijana mwenye maarifa, angeweza kutoa taarifa katika mikutano bila kuangalia karatasi, na aweze kuangazia kazi zote za Mheshimiwa gavana Mng'aro katika mikutano yake yote. Kwa hivyo nataka kumshukuru Rais, kamati hii kubwa sana ikiongezwa na dadangu Alice Ng'ang'a kwa kuweza kumpitisha huyu kijana. Tunajua atakuwa wa muhimu sana masuala ya vijana na uchumi ubunifu ndani ya Kenya nzima, na sisi wa Kilifi tunataka tushukuru. Na mimi hasa, ukijua Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekuwa mpinzani sana masuala ya serikali, lakini kwa hili niseme asante Mheshimiwa Rais na Kilifi nzima, na kwa niaba ya viongozi wa Kilifi ndani ya bunge hili, wabunge wote, tupeane shukrani zetu kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Amchukue kijana huyu, atakuwa akifanya kazi ya Kenya nzima, na nimshukuru babangu Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kuweza kuitikia kijana huyu aweze kuteuliwa, na najua ni kijana wake wa sauti kubwa sana, angesimama kwa mikutano akitetea, lakini amruhusu saizi akafanye kazi ya serikali, na sisi kama viongozi wa Kilifi tumeweza kulikubali hiyo. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker, asante sana.
Thank you. Honorable members, I think I don't see a lot of interest on this one. Can I call the mover? Honorable members, you have the final say. May I then put the question that the mover be called to reply? As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for giving us this very important people to serve in this government, CPA Karen, as well as Mr. Fikirini Jacobs. I also want to thank this House. If approved, we have two very dedicated principal secretaries who serve very well in this country. So, Honorable Speaker, if these two PSs pass tomorrow, I can assure this House that they are very dedicated. CPA Karen is very dedicated to serving the ministry on behalf of the children of this nation, as well as Mr. Fikirini on behalf of the youth of this nation. And I know they are going to do a very good job. We wish them all the best in their work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We shall defer the putting of the question. Before we go to the next order, allow me to indulge on Abukeje. You have a paper to lay and immediately move the notice of motion on the same. Give KJ the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you. And Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 15th April 2025. And this paper is a report of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation on the approval hearing of Mr. Stephen Motari Isaboke for appointment as Principal Secretary in the State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication. Honorable Speaker, I further seek to put a notice of motion, and this is a notice of motion on the appointment of Principal Secretary, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication. Taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information